Imagine how sad stand-up comedy would be if it were. Imagine how sad stand-up comedy would be if it were recorded in front of no audience. And that's what's happening here. I'm trying to shine a light. I'm trying for levity, but if there were no audience to give the comedian real-time feedback, after a while he'd be on stage telling jokes, gulping, not sure what to say next. And after a while, it would just be blatant honesty. He would just be talking and he would just be saying whatever is on his mind, and that is what has happened here. Now, I've been doing this for over a year. I started in like last September. And the reason why I began is because I like it. But a question comes to my mind all of the time, which is when I'm about to sit in front of a camera and speak to a camera, I'm like, who? Who am I talking to? Like, who am I meant to be talking to here? In the same way that a stand up comedian who's getting no real time feedback would end up questioning, like, all right, who am I talking to? So, too, I've questioned that. And I'm like, is it my family members? Ought I imagine that I'm talking to my family members, my parents, my nana, my siblings? Or should it be like to my friends? Imagine that I'm speaking to my friends. Or is it something else and I should be speaking to my younger self or my future self? But when I imagine doing those things, when I imagine that I'm speaking to a real person, somehow it seems a little bit disingenuous because I have different relationships with different people, obviously, got different dynamics. So I wouldn't want to just be speaking to a family member or a friend every time I sit down to record a video. And if I try to speak to my future self, it's kind of like I'm crying out into the future, pleading for help. So once again, it's sad. Or if I'm talking to my younger self, obviously I've grown relative to my younger self. So it would come off as advice giving, and I'm nobody's teacher, so I'm not trying to give advice. And time after time again, the only thing that has made sense is, well, I'm going to listen to this afterward. I listen to every video that I record at least the day of. And so I know that I'm going to record it after, and I want to enjoy listening to it. Whatever I'm going to say, I want to enjoy listening to it. And that is the only thing that works, but that requires vulnerability. And I'm an insecure man. I've got insecurities, and so there's a gap between what I would say if I knew that I was only talking to myself and what I actually say, because I don't really want to be vulnerable because I am afraid. I have fear within me. But I am committed to sitting in front of a camera and recording a podcast, and because I'm still committed, I also question, like, well, why am I doing this? But that question kind of becomes a downward spiral because at the end of the day, if I do it, I'm fulfilled and I like it. I like the process of doing it. I like having done it. If I don't do it, I feel empty and dissatisfied. And so, no matter what, I am committed. I'm going to do it anyways. So, you don't really need another reason other than I like it. You don't need a reason to pursue an ambition other than it's what you like. And so, what do I not like about my life? Let's ask that. What do I not like about my life? Because I was sitting and writing this morning, and that's what I wrote about. That was the first thing that I wrote in my notebook. is what do I not like about my life? And when I asked it, I was like, oh, that's a beautiful question because there certainly are things that I don't like about my day to day life. Everyone has things that they don't like about their day to day life, but I don't always know where to start. And so I don't know how to improve my day to day life. I don't know where to begin, but I haven't even asked this question, which is you've got problems. What are the problems? I.e., what do you not like about your life? And to not ask that question is like if you had a messy room, it's cleaning up your life. Obviously, it's very similar to cleaning up your room. But imagine you had no spatial awareness, you had no spatial intelligence. You didn't really know how to bring feng shui to a messy room. You didn't know how to make it ordered. Well, you would just have a vague, ambiguous feeling that the room is messy, but you don't even know how to clean it. You don't even know why it's messy. So you ought to ask, why is my room messy? Why is my room a mess right now? And so, in that same way, I don't know how to clean up a life. I don't know how to clean up my life. And sometimes there's too much of a mess that I just don't even know where to begin. And so I just ask of myself this question: what do I not like about my life? Not even what do I want to change, but simply what do I not like about my life? And some things that came to my mind is I saw a man, his face was red. He had earbuds on. He looked like he had just worked out. And I was like, I want that for myself. Something about that man is admirable. I can tell that he had worked out this morning. And I want that for myself. I want to be healthier. I want to exhaust my body. And I work out. I do long distance running, but I realized I haven't really been lifting and exerting myself regarding lifting. So I was like, well, I don't like that about my life. I don't like the little effort that I put into lifting. I don't like things being I don't like feeling like I don't have a direction. And lately I felt like I haven't had a direction. And I recognize this because every night I pray to God, God, please give me a wise and discerning heart. Please give me a wise and discerning heart, and also when I see what is right and just, please give me the discipline to pursue that is what is right and just. Give me the strength of heart, give me the discipline, give me the courage to pursue what is right and just. Give me the patience, humility, and gratitude to pursue what is right and just. And so by looking at the negatives, I I've felt these negatives. They've been permeating my life, but I haven't been able to articulate them because I haven't asked this question. And so now I've seen the extent to which I need direction, but I didn't know where to get direction. And then so I started to think about this podcast, and I started to think about the amount of time that I put into it. And I put in a lot of time to it because I always think of a focal point and then I meditate on that focal point and I write thousands and thousands of words, but it takes up my whole week to get in front of a camera and speak for 30 minutes. So I'm like, well, what if I could keep doing this podcast of which I am committed and which I like and which I love, and I love the process of creation. But but what if I could put less time into it? And the reason why I would put less time into it is because I thought about it further and I was like, I don't like the extent to which I have to prepare because then I started to think about what I do like and I was like, I like the expression of my life. Not even just my life. I like anybody just without an ego, without convoluting the picture, just an individual expressing what their life is and showing other people, putting that on display for other people. I like that as well. And there's a certain powerlessness to that, because if you just put your life on display, you can't have an agenda. You can't do multiple things. I can't put my life on display and try to get more views, put my life on display and try to get more watch time. I can just put my life on display as it is and speak on it honestly and live honestly, and people will want to consume it or they won't want to consume it, but it's out of my power and I would have to choose one or the other. I'd have to create in a way that other people would want to consume and it would bring me worldly things, or I can let go of all of that and just focus on creating and expressing my true self, who I am, without any agenda. But you can only pick one, and too often that is inevitably, without a doubt, why I put so much time into preparation into it, because I want that which gets put onto display to come off as articulate and intelligent, and I want to seem like an admirable man. But that's not my choice. I either am an admirable man and I can put that on display and it's up to the viewer to decide, or I'm not an admirable man and I'll put that on display and that too is up for the viewer to decide. And I've known this to be true, but the reason why I want more time, free time, I want to keep recording the podcast of which I'm committed and which I love, but I want more time as well because I want to write a book. I want to write a new story. And I know that I can write a book exponentially better than the book that I've already written. And the book that I have already written, that was okay, but that was more of an exercise in writing a book overall because it was incredibly hard. It was the hardest thing that I've ever done. But now that I've got that out of the way and I know how to bring a story to fruition, I believe I can bring in I believe that what is within me is a raging story. It's raging because it has to get out of me and it is the reason for my dissatisfaction because I'm not getting it out of me. I'm not writing it. And I'm not writing it because I don't have enough free time. And I don't have enough free time because I'm worried about what people will think. So I just have to stop worrying what people will think. And I'm kind of like that comedian who's on stage without any laughter and he's dying up there. He's bombing. He's not getting any laughter. But you can just accept that. You can just accept that you're not going to get laughter and keep speaking in the heat anyway. Just accept the heat. Right. Right. Growing up, The Dark Knight was my favorite movie. Growing up, the initial, not the very first Batman Begins, but the original Dark Knight was my favorite movie. And I used to watch that before school almost every day. But I wouldn't watch the parts with Christian Bale. I wouldn't care about the parts of which the Batman was in, those scenes. I would fast forward to Heath Ledger's Joker scenes because that was the best Joker performance of all time. So I get offended when people bring up these more recent modern Jokers. I don't even know the name of these actors, but obviously there's been several Joker movies, and I get offended when people even like those movies because relative to the Heath Ledger's Dark Knight, some I don't fully know why, but something about them, that was the best acting performance of all time. That was excellent. That was beautiful. And whatever it is these other guys have tried to do with the Joker, they should have just retired the Joker and not made any more movies because Heath Ledger already put it to rest. Heath Ledger already put the Joker to rest. That was The Dark Knight was The Dark Knight's the best movie of all time. Silence should be Silence should be cherished. Watch your thoughts objectively. Without this, you go through life unconsciously acting out dramas. When thoughts come to our mind, sometimes we identify with the thoughts that come into our mind and we believe all of them to be true, but probably 99% of them aren't true, and they are at risk of taking you through a day that isn't your own. If you believe everything that your thoughts are telling you, they are at risk of taking you down rabbit holes that you are not even meant to walk down. And that is what happened with these other Joker movies. Heath Ledger's Joker knew he had thoughts in his mind. He saw the world pursuing money. He saw the world pursuing power. He's like, I don't want any of this. I just want to throw what is the structure that currently exists, the order that currently exists, into chaos because it is damned. The structure of the world that currently exists is irredeemable. We need to throw chaos into the current world. That way we can bring about a new order because the current one isn't actually an order, it is tyranny. And so that was the Joker's agenda. That was what the Joker was trying to do. He didn't listen to those initial thoughts of wanting money or wanting power or wanting anything. He just wanted to play. He just wanted to throw the current order into chaos. And so that's one level, but also the acting performance was just all in. And I know that negative things happened after Heath Ledger played the Joker. I think he overdosed on drugs, but nonetheless, that was probably the best acting performance of all time. That was probably the best acting performance of all time. How do we let go of ideas that stop us from dying? That was something that I wrote down in the notes in my phone about a year ago, and I wrote that down in my notebook today because it stuck out to me. Now I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if that phrase is saying that we should keep ideas in our mind that stop us from dying. Like deadwood in a forest, you've got to burn off the deadwood so that a greater order can blossom. You've got to let the lesser parts of you die away so that a greater version of yourself can be born. Or if that's saying that there are ideas in your mind that are killing you and you've got to let go of those ideas. I'm not exactly for sure what that sentence means, but both of those things can be true. Either one works, whatever you prefer. People do care about your feelings. We always talk about, oh, nobody cares about your feelings, work harder. We are a couple of days removed from Christmas. I was working on Christmas. You see people who are alone on Christmas, and I cared about their feelings. And I wanted them to not feel bad. I don't know how I wanted them to feel, but I did care about their feelings. And maybe I felt bad because I was working on Christmas, but then I saw them and I stopped caring about my own feelings because I I was thinking of them. So I started thinking of myself less and thinking of them more, and I care about the way that they feel, and so I'm assuming people care about the way that I feel. People care about the way that you feel. It is not trivial. Now my computer is close to dying, and so 2025 we need things to look forward to. There's going to be changes seen, made, and implemented, and I actually do believe this. I think 2025 will be the best year that I've ever had in my life. I don't know why I believe that, but I do believe that, and that could be the case for all of us. And for now, that's all that I have. Goodbye.